Here, I can hear.
Oh, that's what.
Test, can you hear me? All right, let's try this one more time. Call to order this regular meeting of the Siloam Springs Board of Directors for January 5th, 2021. Roll call.
Sappington.
Here.
Smiley.
Here.
Burns.
Here.
Hunt.
Here.
Whistler.
Here.
Allen.
Here.
Carroll.
Here.
At this time, I've asked Director Carroll to lead us in prayer. If you all will please stand with us, and after that, he will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Father God, tonight we give thanks for an opportunity to be a part of the community of Siloam Springs and be a part of the direction that it's going, that we may be able to make wise choices, work together, and be a part of this great community that you have given to us, and that we can be able to be a part of it knowing that we're going in a good direction. And all these things we give thanks in Jesus' name. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. At this time, I would like to ask that everyone silence any electronic device that you might have. We won't have any interruptions during the meeting. Thank you. The next item is the swearing in of our new directors and mayor. So I guess we'll go in order, which would be the mayor first. Judge Anglin. And my family is going to come and stand with me. They are my biggest supporters.
So raise your right hand. I state your name, do solemnly swear
I, Judy Nation, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Arkansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Arkansas,
and that I will faithfully perform and discharge
and that I will faithfully perform and discharge
the duties of the office of City Mayor
the duties of the office of City Mayor
upon which I am now about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'm going to sign this now.
Okay.
You're next.
All right.
You're going to get in the shot no matter what, Brad. Put 'em by 'em.
I'll run you out of time. All right, ready?
And then I'll get one without.
Oh, Holland? Holland?
By yourself.
By herself?
Yes, please. Sorry.
Carol Smiley.
Where are you going?
I'm going right here. Actually, I got a picture of my standing over there.
Yes, I'm gonna leave my mask on. Raise your right hand. I state your name, do solemnly swear
I, Carol K. Smiley, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Arkansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Arkansas,
and that I will faithfully perform and discharge
and that I will faithfully perform and discharge
the duties of the office of City Director at Large, Position 6,
and discharge the duties of the office of City Director at Large, Position 6,
upon which I am now about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Did you want to get a picture?
Yes.
I'm going to
Oh, you
sign
got
this
your
one,
own.
and I'm going to give this one to you. I'll get one with me and one with her.
Okay, so look at me, 1, 2. Let's do one more, sorry. I know, it's okay. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, I'll get one just for you. All right. Smile, Carol. I can tell you're smiling. 1, 2, 3. Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Mr. Carroll? If you'll raise your right hand. I state your name, do solemnly swear
I, Reid Carroll, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Arkansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Arkansas,
and that I will faithfully perform and discharge
and that I will faithfully perform and discharge
the duties of the office of City Director
and discharge the duties of the office of City Director
at Large, Position 5,
at Large, Position 5,
upon which I am now about to enter.
upon which I am now about to enter.
Congratulations. Mr. Allen?
Yes, sir.
I state your name.
Raise your right hand. I state your name, do solemnly swear
I, David E. Allen, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Arkansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Arkansas,
and that I will faithfully perform and discharge
and that I will faithfully perform and discharge
the duties of the office of City Director
the duties of the office of City Director
at Large, Position 7,
at Large, Position 7,
upon which I am now about to enter.
upon which I am now about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Can you sign it too?
I'll give it to you,
All
and
right.
then you can sign it, but I'll give you at least
Okay.
the signed copy here, and you can hold it up if you want.
All right. Well,
Thank you, sir.
I'm gonna-
No, I didn't.
Thank you, AJ. Thank you all. We appreciate everyone that's here tonight. Our next item on the agenda is the election of a vice mayor. This will be for a 2-year term. The floor is open for nominations.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I would like to nominate David Allen.
Second. Do we second? Nominations?
Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Reid Carroll, and I'll explain why. Reid filled that role for a short period of time. I like his demeanor. His calming voice is almost like a Hallmark card. It's second to former Director Beers. He has a passion for the community, and he has the time to donate to that, and I think we need to take that into consideration.
Thank you, Director Burns. Is there any other nominations? Oh, I'm sorry. We need a second from that. Do I have a second?
No second needed. Not for nomination.
He says I need a second. We don't need a second? No. All right. So do I need a motion to nominations to cease, or are we just ready for the roll call vote?
I think you can just,
Yeah, I think you can just call
Okay.
the vote.
Okay. So if there are no other nominations, we will take a roll call, and as you vote, you will state the name of the person that you are voting for, please. Roll call.
Smiley,
Reid Carroll.
Director Reid Carroll.
Reid Carroll.
David Allen.
David Allen.
Director Reid Carroll.
Director David Allen.
4-3, Reid Carroll.
The new vice mayor will be Reid Carroll. Thank you both for being willing to serve. At this point in time, our next agenda item is public input. The public may address the Board of Directors regarding any item on the consent agenda or any city business not listed on the board on our regular agenda. Is there anyone that would like to speak? If you would, please state your name, address, and you'll have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Nathaniel Stone, 611 East Delaware Street. And I just wanted to congratulate all of you guys, and also wanted to just offer a quick prayer for you guys as leaders. So, dear Jesus, I pray for these board of directors and for the city employees, and just pray that you'd give them wisdom in this time that's coming up, and as we grow here in Siloam Springs, that you just give each of them wisdom, that righteousness would prevail, and that you'd bless each of them and their families. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
And thank you, all of you guys.
Thank you, Nathaniel.
Thank you, Nathaniel.
Is there anyone else? If not, then our next item is the consent agenda. We'll read this. Item A is regular meeting minutes for December 15th, 2020. Item B, Resolution 0121, Procedures and Organizational Matters of the Board of Directors. Item C, dedication of utility easements for 21949 and 21948 Estate Drive. Item D, Siloam Springs School District Dark Fiber Cable Lease Agreement with the Electric Department.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I want to point out a Scrivener's error in the minutes. Tom and Robin Lundstrom's last name is misspelled.
Thank you, Director Allen.
And then I would like to ask that letter B and letter D be removed.
B and D, is that correct?
Right.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items with B and D removed?
Madam Mayor, I so move.
Have a second.
Second.
Roll call.
Burns,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Whistler,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington,
Yes.
Smiley.
Yes.
So item B, Director Allen, is there something that a question or a particular item that you would like to have us look
Yeah.
at on these two items that you have requested?
There is let me find it here. Just under letter C, the discussion here under the general power to preside and vote under mayor, it lists all these different ways to vote and how many votes it takes. I thought that should be a separate paragraph. I didn't understand why it was under the mayor discussion. And I think that was it. It lists all the different numbers that it takes to pass emergency clause, contract, ordinance, resolution, etc.
Uh-huh.
And so I had a question why that was there and if it wasn't needed to be under the board's vote
Okay.
discussion.
Yes, Phil.
So I can speak to that. I think it's, item C is listed as your correct mayor and vice mayor, and then under A, it just talks about and voting. And I think that's why it's listed. If it's the board's pleasure, you could approve this subject to staff rearranging that, or we can bring it back in 2 weeks. We can, if you need to feel that we need to pull that out and make the voting aspect, as far as for emergency clause requiring 5 affirmative votes and contracts and approvals requiring 4, we can pull that out and make that a separate paragraph. That's pretty simple to do, or at least a separate section.
I took the letter A, 1A, mayor, general power to preside and vote. I took the general power to preside and vote as referencing the mayor. And so all the other points don't have anything to do with the mayor. They have to do with the director's voting. So I believe it ought to be somewhere under the board's responsibility, or something separate as to the number of votes it requires. If someone were going through this and looking for that specific information, the last place they would think it would be under the powers of the mayor.
And again, we're happy to do whatever the board's pleasure is.
Well, I'll make a motion that we remove that and make it a separate paragraph.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
When you say that, put it as a second paragraph under the directors?
Actually, under number 4 on the previous page, voting. Duties and privileges of directors at board meetings is the head, letter B, and then number 4 is about voting. So that's actually where I think it should be put.
I'll second that. It makes sense.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? There being none, roll call.
Hunt,
Yes.
Whistler,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes.
Burns.
No.
Motion is passed. And Director Allen, item D for the dark fiber.
I simply asked that be removed because I would like us to see the contract. I don't understand why the contract would not be provided to the board.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
So the board we were more than happy to bring that contract. What we have typically done in the past is to try to outline what those individual deal points are to that contract, so that the board didn't have all of that paperwork in there. But if it's the board's pleasure to see the contract, we'll be happy to make that part of the next board meeting. I always invite board members, if they have questions regarding contracts that aren't in here, that they're available at any time to be able to see them. But it's just been in the past, a decision was made, if staff could write the staff report to outline the deal points, that all of that paperwork wasn't necessary to go in the board's packet, but that's the board's pleasure one way or the other.
Are there any other comments about the question that Director Allen has brought up?
Since it's online and doesn't deal with paper, when this board's the ultimate responsibility for any contract that's agreed, I believe every contract that they enter into should be included in the board packet.
Madam Mayor. I
Yes.
think this goes along, Philip, maybe it was a month ago that we talked about RFPs and RFQs be also included from now on. But I didn't say contracts. I didn't think of contracts until Director Allen mentioned it. But it would be the same when we discussed adding the RFPs and RFQs from now on, so we knew what we were voting on, so we knew the details. So I mean, I don't know what that does for this vote, but I mean.
Again, it's the board's pleasure. I mean, staff will do whatever the board wishes. A few years ago, seemed like the board was not, if staff could write the memo to work through the deal points, that the board didn't need to see all the legalese associated with those contracts. And I was sort of given the direction that was okay. If that's different from this board, that is perfectly fine, and staff will be happy to provide those contracts.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I personally am okay either way, but I would like to continue seeing the memos that outline and summarize whatever the contracts may say. So if the board wants the contracts, that's fine, but I definitely would not want to do away with the memos. Those are very helpful.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I was about to say the same thing Mindy said. I think this is great, and I wish the way it was done many years ago, because this is really very helpful to know all the deal points. It just makes me feel comfortable that if we want to read any specific part of a contract, that it automatically be within the board packet and we shouldn't have to go and ask for it. So I would like to see them in the future. I don't have a problem doing anything with the school system whatsoever, and I think this is fine. Whatever this is about, this is fine. I had no idea Ozarks Go was near Siloam, and that's great to hear. So I have no problem with the deal points here. I just would like to see the contracts in the future.
Mayor?
Yes. Burns.
When it comes to contracts and things that in a board packet that just take up a lot of space, what I've done in the past is requested that, and then I put that in a separate file, and we all have computers for the most part, and I mean it's there for us to read, because it takes time to go over those contracts. And it's there. The transparency's there. It's accessible to any of us, as was stated by the city administrator. So, if there's anything that you need from this city regarding that, I'd like to have it as a separate attachment in an email, so that I could put that in a file as we save these meetings of the minutes. That tends to compile greatly. The other benefit, depending on what format you use, it's easier to reference those contracts if you have questions. And that's not just this contract that we're talking about with the school. That's a lot of the contracts that we've had in the past, master plans, things of that nature. It's easier to pull those up and to reference them as we go on throughout the year. So that's what's worked for me. Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Thank you. Yes.
the reason I asked in the past for the RFPs and RFQs to be listed is because it was a citizen's request. The citizens want it easy for them. They don't want to have to call City Hall every time they need a document. And it's about the citizens. We're serving the citizens. And so that was why my request was there, is because I'm trying to represent my citizens.
Madam Mayor.
Yes. Director Smiley.
I probably can tend to agree with both Director Hunt and Director Burns. I like the format of having the memos. I'm not so sure I need to have those contracts. If I want them, I know that I can ask for them and that they will be given to me, whether it be by email. But I do believe it's easier to reference when I have it in an email rather than trying to figure out what agenda did we talk about. So I guess I could go either way, but I would prefer to just have the memo, and then I think it's my responsibility to ask for that contract and review it.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I see good in both sides. I do feel like that the input from staff is important, but I also feel for transparency's sake, we need to have that contract accessible, whether it be by myself or someone else that may have questions about it. I don't need it in my packet, needless to say. I would like it as we get the workshop minutes or pictures or extra drawings and stuff or training that comes separate in emails. I think it would be nice to start receiving contracts as attachments to emails for us to go ahead and create a file to refer back to.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I like our current system. Anytime I've had any question directed to city administrator, he's been very quick to respond. I've had no issues with not getting something needed, but I appreciate how we're doing currently. Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
considering the time frame of when we receive items, sometimes I don't look at these till late on a Saturday night or a Friday night, and I'm sure that it's not going to be as easy for me to get those items as it would be if they were supplied for me.
Madam Mayor, I was about to say the same thing in that everyone to each their own as to when they review the board packet. And I believe reviewing them over the weekend is going to be a little difficult when you wish to read a contract or look at some specific part of it based upon a key point within the memo, to expect the contract to be sent to you on a timely manner when it's the weekend. And I honestly don't understand the balk at including it in the board packet, in that it's public information anyway. And rather than not just us, but the public having to go and ask for something that we are approving, why shouldn't the public have access to the contracts within the board packet? I know in the past they were always included, and it was very helpful if you had something that was raised as a point, you could actually read the wording.
Thank you. Any other comments? Then, Philip, if I could ask you, do you need, or would you like to have a motion on how the board would like to have this handled, or have you taken?
I don't
Are you
believe I
taking
need,
notes, so-
I don't believe I need a motion.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's very clear that there's an interest to have the contracts in the packet, and we'll be happy to do that.
All right, thank you. Board, is that agreeable to everyone?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Director Allen, is there anything else?
No, thank you.
And our next agenda item will be the ordinances. No, I'm sorry.
You need a motion
Vote
to
on this.
approve item D.
Sorry. Item B. So do we have a motion and a second for the resolution 0121?
I make the motion, Madam Mayor.
Second.
I think
The
you've already approved
0121?
resolution 0121.
D, SSSC
D
cable
as in-
agreement. Dog.
Yes, the contract with the school district.
The
is-
lease agreement.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the agreement with the Siloam Springs School District for the leasing of dark fiber optic cable.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Chrysler? Roll call.
Chrysler,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes?
Hunt.
Yes.
Motion is approved. We'll move to our regularly scheduled items. First item is Ordinance 20-33, third reading, amending Section 102-21 of the City Municipal Code rezoning. Ben?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, and members of the board. Ben Rhodes, Senior Planner. Before you is the third reading for the rezoning at the 900 block of East Harvard Street. This is going from I-1 Industrial, or going to I-1 Industrial. Staff has not received any additional comments since the previous reading. Staff and the Planning Commission continue to recommend approval, and we're available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this ordinance? There being none, board, any comments or questions? Do I have a motion to place ordinance 20-33, motion to suspend?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we place ordinance number 20-33 on its third reading, suspending the rules and reading by title only.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes?
Hunt,
Yes.
Chrysler.
Yes.
Philip?
Ordinance number 20-33, an ordinance amending section 102-21 of the Siloam Springs Municipal Code, City Zoning Map, rezoning from R2 and R3 to I-1, property located in the 900 block of East Harvard Street.
Do I have a motion to approve ordinance 20-33?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. Any comments? Roll call.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes?
Hunt,
Yes.
Chrysler,
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Next item is ordinance 20-34, third reading, amending Chapter 54, Annexation, zoning permits. Ben?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the board. Before you is the third reading for the city code update that's requiring a new annexation permit. The permit application will require proposed annexations to go before the Planning Commission for advice, followed by the board's approval and an ordinance. Staff and the Planning Commission continue to recommend approval of this, and we stand ready for any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the audience? Board, any comments or questions?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Director Allen.
Ben, on the existing and future land use, you talk about a 30-foot wide landscaping buffer and screening required along any residential property. Is there a height requirement or minimum?
I believe that, are you referring to the PUD zoning, or are you referring to the annexation permit? I guess I'm a little confused.
I may be on the one we just reviewed. Never mind. My apologies. That was something that I had meant to ask a minute ago. Never mind. Thank you.
Anyone else? There being none, do I have a motion to suspend?
Madam Mayor, I recommend we place ordinance number 20-34 on its third reading, suspending the rules and reading by title only.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion to suspend? There being none, roll call.
Sappington,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes?
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Do I have a motion to adopt?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
may I read the?
Yes, you may.
Ordinance number 20-34, an ordinance amending Chapter 54, Land Use Code of the Municipal Code with respect to annexation and zoning development permits.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 20-34. Roll call.
Smiley,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. Next item is ordinance 21-01, first reading, annexation of 30.03 acres at 14505 North Country Club Road. Ben?
Yes, thank you again, Madam Mayor and Board. So you're looking at an annexation occurring at 14505 North Country Club Road. This is to take in 30.03 acres, including the abutting right-of-way on North Country Club Road. This is located just north of the recently annexed Endura Park addition and to the west of the Nottingham Apartments. The proposal is to zone this to PD, which is the planned development, and that is consistent with the design of the recently approved preliminary plat on the same property that was called Mission Hill addition. In addition to the zoning, the area will be added into Ward number 2. So this slide shows you the approved preliminary plat addition. This gives you a basic overview of the visually showing you the what the proposed zoning will allow, which is a single family land use and a designated park and 2 stormwater detention basins. So here, because we're primarily looking at the zoning now and not so much the approval of the preliminary plat, because that's already happened. So for this PD zone, they've broken it out into 4 distinct zoning sub-areas. So sub-areas 1 and 3, which I will circle right there, they're designated in the zoning as detention basins. And sub-area 2, which is this one here, is a park. And then the remaining area, everything that's remaining, is counted as single-family residential lots. So digging a little deeper into this, as you are aware, the PD zone does allow for flexibility in the zone standards. So here before you on the slide is the developer's proposal for the different areas. The top there you see is for area 1 and 3. And then the second paragraph is for area 2. Again, the area 1 and 3 are the detention basins that will allow for recreational space. And then that area 2 would be the park land. And I'd be remiss if I didn't include the last area, which is area 4. Here, this is a chart that displays the proposed zoning standards for that area. This is the residential section of the development. So these are nearly identical to the standards that were approved at the last PUD that was called Foxtail North, that some of you might recall. Some notable departures from the standard R2 zone is the side yard setback is reduced from 8 feet to 5 feet, and a slightly higher lot coverage and floor to area ratio, and the allowance of a smaller lot size. The proposed zone standards were also reviewed along with the preliminary plat application by the Planning Commission and also through the approval of the resolution. And lastly, I'm displaying the future land use map. As mentioned with the review of the preliminary plat, the commercial use was deemed less than ideal at this location due to the neighborhood context in this area and the presence of viable commercial areas along Sherry Whitlock Avenue, which is approximately a mile south of this location. So staff believes on the whole that the proposed zoning is consistent with the medium density classification as shown on the future land use map. And staff is recommending approval of Ordinance 2101. I would want to note that the memo did refer to that as an incorrect number. It is Ordinance 2101. And we stand available for any questions. Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Director Allen.
Ben, if it's in here, I didn't see it. How many lots is this?
I believe that is, let me just see that there. I have that figure right in front of me, but I believe it's around 120 or so. But I can look that up for you later if you'd like.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Is there a minimum square foot size of the homes?
Not of the homes, no, sir. It's just the lots. They didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't talk about the houses.
Yeah. When you list the building limits here on the sides of 5 feet, does that mean 5 feet to one side of a house and then 5 feet? So it'd be 10 feet total between houses?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
10 feet. Yes. Yeah.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Director Burns.
we have public input.
Yes, sir. We are getting ready to do that. Thank you. Do we have anyone in the audience that would like to make a comment or statement?
Well, Director Burns interrupted me before I was finished, but go right ahead.
Is there anyone that would like to speak? There is no one, so Director Allen, do you still have questions?
No.
All right. Is there anyone else in the board that has questions or comments?
Madam Mayor, I do have a question for Ben that has to do with what Director Allen just mentioned about the sides. You said it was reduced from 5 feet, or from 8 feet to 5 feet. What was the reasoning for that?
The lots are smaller, and so in order to fit the home on there, they need a little extra space on the side.
Okay. I just had a call from a citizen today who was concerned about a house in her neighborhood sort of being crammed in with some other houses, and so it's kind of fresh on my mind. And but you did answer that it's actually, there would be at least 10 feet
That's
between
correct.
the houses.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
Ben, I'm concerned with the 5 foot, even though it makes 10. 8 makes 16, which is much more. I'm concerned that we're getting smaller lots, smaller houses, and it just concerns me that our neighborhoods are not really neighborhoods. They're going to be duplexes and apartments because they're so close together, even though they have no adjoining wall. I like that there is the green space, but I also, and this was someone that said this last time, was, you know, we spend all this money diverting the water to these detention ponds. Are we really going to be able to divert it after it's already, you know, there's a natural way that it flows? So, I mean, there's several things about this that I think as we go on with it that we'll have more questions. Would this be the best time to bring those up, or as we get something more definite in the plan?
Well, the before you today is the zoning, not the subdivision design. That's already been approved. So if you had concerns specifically about the zoning standards, I can go back to that page there. This is the main page that has the standards that they're proposing. These were the same as for Foxtail North that was looked at Highway 16.
Again, it's just my concern that we're trying to cram as many houses as we can on one parcel of land? Are we trying to make the builder, the buyer, the owner happy? Are we trying to make the citizens happy? So, you know, quality of life and quantity of people. I just think that we need to keep an eye on how many houses we're building on this size of lot.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
we have already had discussion about the size of the lots, correct?
Yes, he just said that.
And we've already voted on it. All we're doing is voting on how we want to bring it in, to what zone we're going to bring it into when we annex.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Director
and
Hunt.
that was my question too. When we looked at the preliminary plat for this, we weren't really talking about the information there, correct? This is what you're saying is part of this zoning decision. I understand what you're saying about that this is the same as the Foxtail. I think it stood out a little bit more this time, these 5 feet sides, because you specifically said one notable difference is we went from 8 to 5. And I'm not saying you didn't say that before. I just don't remember it, so it stuck out a little bit more this time. And I do have some concerns about, as Director Sabington says, cramming too many homes into one small area. But is this the time to be talking about these specifics, or have we already voted in this case on these specifics?
You have voted on the design.
On the design
And
that did
this-
not,
Yep,
and did the design include setbacks for,
it did.
okay.
It did. This is more of a formality to confirm what was already approved per the design.
Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Director Burns.
Yes, in November 17, city administration provided us with a Siloam Springs dwelling unit count and the city limits, what we projected out, what's being built, what's on the books. And we had a lengthy discussion voicing the very concerns that we're talking about this evening. And we have challenges ahead of us as a city, board of directors, in a growing city. And do we stifle the growth? What does that look like? And so we had good discussion on it last year, and it's here now. And as I spoke before, when I drive around Ward 2 and I look at the expansion, I just have to physically try to wrap my mind around what's happening in Siloam. So if you were born and raised here, this is blowing your mind, what's happening in Northwest Arkansas in general. Benton County was just nominated the most giving county in the state, and I think going on to a national level. We are bringing in growth and development, and we have challenges ahead of us. And one of those challenges we discussed in this zoning was what's going to happen on Country Club when we start putting that load of folks on there, and how we have to prioritize those streets. And we talked about drainage on the development on the other side, and so we've had those. Those are real. And that's us as a board to understand this is happening. It's happening almost in every ward, this massive explosion that we're experiencing. And it's not going to change anytime in the near future. And this is the reality of life. And so we voted on it. We need to keep a record of it, remember what we passed, and what we're here for tonight is simply what Ben had spoken of. We've already made that cast, and we can't go back in time. But Siloam is growing exponentially. It's a great community to live in, and we have to keep it in that community. But that community is growing, and it's evident. Drive around Ward 2. I would request you drive around Ward 2 and take a look-see. I've only been here 30-plus years, and man, we've come from a 4-digit phone number and dirt alleys to worrying about what we're worrying about now. It's a good worry, but it is a worry. And it is going to change the visually, but I don't think it changes the core of Siloam. And so that's how I kind of look at Ward 2, but it is mind-blowing to see the expansion. And if you look at Endura Park, I've stated this before, never seen so much earth being moved in one place in any development we have. I mean, it's pretty massive. So as much as it is concerning for many people in the community, this has been going on for quite some time. I think now we're just starting to see it. And I appreciate the work. It's challenging. I know drainage is a huge issue out there. I know the folks downstream from there that live in the county have concerns, and they've had concerns for a long, long time. And I hope the city administration continues to work with the county to resolve some of those issues, because you guys have to work with the county on that. So good luck with that in 2021. And I thank you for your hard work.
Mr. Mayor, or
Yes.
Madam Mayor, I am so sorry. I was the first one to do that. I'm so sorry.
You are fine.
One of the things in our board goals is addressing our housing situation and providing more opportunity for housing and affordable housing. And I think we're going to have to look, what do we want to do? Because this is what we're doing with this. And how do we get there? And I understand drainage, and drainage is extremely important. And so traffic is important. All of that comes together with more housing. But Director Burns is right, we're growing. All of Northwest Arkansas is growing. We're not the only city that is facing this. And I know you never want to say, we don't want to be like any of those other cities, but if you look at Bentonville, you look at Rogers, there is housing everywhere you go. And it seems like I can go by a street one day and 2 days later, all of these buildings have popped up. So I think we just have to look at what we're doing very closely. Staff is working with it very closely. And look at our drainage. Make sure we are making the right decision at the right time when we vote. And thank you. I appreciate what work the staff has done. And what all of the board of directors, all of their comments are very important, and I appreciate that. It helps me make a decision. Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Director Allen.
can I ask the fire chief a question? Is he in the audience?
Not here tonight, no.
Well, he was outside. No, that was the police chief. Never mind. I just was curious. You guys are talking about what was approved before I came on, so I'm learning about the reduction from 8 foot to 5 foot. And my concern is safety between homes. If one home catches fire, is 10 feet enough for firefighters and equipment to be able to handle keeping it to get to the next home, 10 feet versus 16 feet. Ben, the question I have is, why was this reduced to 5? Was it only done for this addition, or was it done previous to this coming to the city?
Well, the same developer did another development where they reduced to 5 feet, and the reasoning is the lots are smaller, and so to be able to fit their home on there, they just can't work with it to 2 8-foot side setbacks. I do know the fire marshal reviewed this as part of the technical review process and signed off on this layout. I believe that some of the designs of the homes will have minimal windows on the sides, which is one of the main reasons where fire would escape from one home to another is through the windows. So that's my understanding on this.
So this was reduced for the previous one. I think you called it, or Brad called it
Foxtail, yes. It was the same setbacks.
But before that, it had not been done for other housing additions.
That's correct. This is the second one that's.
And you're saying it's done because of the lot size being smaller.
That's correct.
What are these lot sizes in comparison to Patriot Park?
Well, we can go back here. You see the minimum lot surface area is 6,000 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
R2 is 7,000 square feet. So
Which is Patriot?
Patriot Park is R2. So that's I don't know all the lot sizes offhand, but around 7,000.
So they would be
the minimum.
larger than these?
Yes.
Then. Okay. That was a question, because I think in the past I had always heard Patriot Park going in was great neighborhood, but it was some of the smaller homes that people were concerned about just getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and us turning into a crackerbox city. And I am concerned with, and I know this is already decided. I know we're only talking about annexation, but I am concerned with reducing space between homes simply because a landowner in developing wants to be able to cram more homes into his 30 acres. 120 homes on 30 acres is a lot of homes. That's 4 homes per acre. And that's pretty tight. It is admirable that he's put the park space, and you guys have required that, and the drainage, but you're not really getting, when you take all of that out of the 30 acres, you're really not even getting 4 homes per acre. So it's awful scary to see how close these can be, simply for safety's sake. And I know you said the fire marshal reviewed it. I sometimes wish the fire chief would review it as well, since he's the top guy. But I think the number one requirement, or number one goal, number one responsibility of any governmental body, federal, state, local, is always the safety of its citizens. It's always been that way. And it's the first thing that is stated by any government official. And so this is the only reason I bring this up, is because the reduction of space between homes. I think when you have a certain requirement, there better be a really good reason to reduce it, other than allowing someone to cram more homes onto their land, because that's just all about money. You answered my questions. I appreciate it.
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
is this an appropriate time to call for a point of order?
yes.
I think we're off the subject.
So we have a
I would
call
like to
for the
call
point
for
of
a roll
order.
call.
Discussions will cease. Do I have a motion to place?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion placing ordinance number 20-01 on its first reading, suspending the rules and reading by title only.
Have a s-
Second?
We have a motion, and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to suspend? Roll call.
Burns. David Bradley Burns.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Isler.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Sappington.
Yes.
Smiley.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Philip.
Ordinance number 21-01, an ordinance accepting the annexation of certain territory described as the Mission Hill addition to the city of Siloam Springs, Arkansas, and assigning the same to a ward.
Thank you. Thank you, Ben. Next item is our staff reports. Philip?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You have the November financials and also the fourth quarter 2019-2020 board goals update. That'll be the last update on those goals, and we'll start working on 2021 and 2022 goals. As far as the administrator's report, I have 3 expenditures to report to you. Under the Economic Development and Tourism and Marketing, Holland Hayden, Communications Manager, went out for quotes for some tourism and marketing services. We did not go with the lowest quote, which was $15,000. We went with a quote from $18,000, and the reason for that, Due North Media provided almost double the amount of services than the lowest quote. So in the end, we were getting more bang for the buck with going with a quote that was about $3,000 more. In the sanitation department, we purchased rear load dumpsters for a total of $49,477.57. And in the electric department, we purchased inventory for some pad mount transformers for a total of $41,160. As has been reported on the city's website, our kayak park, Fisher Ford Kayak Park, is currently closed through January the 11th. The county is making repairs to the roadway and asked us to close the park so that they could completely close the road off. So that's where we are with that as far as today. The December sales tax receipts are in. For the month, the city was up 12.4%, and year to date, we were up 13.8% over last year. And the county, our portion of the county receipts for the month, we were up 9.7% and up 8.1% over the whole year. As many of you know, we continue to track COVID and where we are today. On the 29th of December, Governor Hutchinson extended the state's emergency declaration, which was set to expire on the 30th, and he extended that for additional 60 days through February 28th. We have previously declared a citywide emergency, and I have, with the board's, with no objection from the board, have sort of been following the states and continuing to extend that. And I would ask the board, if there's no objection, that I would have permission to extend that for an additional 60 days. Ours is set to expire on January the 9th, and 60 days would take that to March the 10th, just slightly beyond what the governor, and the reason for that really is in case the governor extends it again, it gives us another board meeting for me to ask you for your consent to extend that. You have the case numbers there for 10 different cities in Benton County that we sort of have been tracking as far as the total cases for the last 14 days. I think in past I might have been tracking 8 cities, but I was also tracking 10 on the total case number, so I added those cities to this list. You can see that as of December the 28th, over the past 14-day period, we had 88 cases, new cases per 10,000 population. That moved us up to number 3 on the list, where previously we were down to around number 4 or number 5. On the back of the sheet, the same 10 cities that I've been tracking have the total cumulative cases, which we were at 92 cases, 92.5 cases per 1,000 cumulative based on population. And you can see that's on the 28th of December. On the 21st, we were at 85 per 1,000. Prior to that, we were at 78. So we continue to move those numbers up. I would point out positive news is that we have received vaccines. We have had 8 members in the police department and 12 members in the fire department to receive their first vaccines, and they're scheduled to receive their second vaccine, I believe, this week. Madam Mayor, that's all I have, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions of the administrator? Next item is our director's reports. I will start by simply saying I am honored and consider it a privilege to be your mayor for the next 4 years. I appreciate your support, and I look forward to working with our citizens, with our board, and with our administrator and staff. Thank you. So we'll start with Director Allen. And
thank you, Madam Mayor, and I'm sure the previous board members will have to get used to saying madam instead of Mr. as well. But congratulations to you, being the first female mayor in the city's history. I'm proud of you. I've known you a long time, and I was really excited that you decided to run for the job. I don't have anything else to say, except I was pleased to read all of the rules and regulations under Resolution 121 tonight that are required of the board. These are very extensive. They're well beyond the state law, and I think that's because of the board and staff wanting to get more detail. I think they're great. I think they should have been instituted decades ago, so I'm really impressed with them. And I just want to read one of those. It's under the Code of Ethics number 3. No one needs to be reminded of this, but I want the citizens to know that the board's responsibility to them, this is number 3, responsibility to all citizens. Members of the board of directors and the mayor shall conduct themselves so as to bring credit upon the city as a whole, and so as to set an example of good ethical conduct for all citizens of the community. The members of the board of directors and the mayor shall bear in mind at all times their responsibility to the entire electorate, shall refrain from actions benefiting special interest groups at the expense of the city as a whole, and shall do everything in their power to ensure equal and impartial law enforcement throughout the city without respect to race, creed, color, or the economic or social position of individual citizens. I applaud this. I think it's wonderful that this is included in this, basically like a board handbook. And I mean, it's rules and regulations, but it's something to guide us. And I just wanted to tell the city staff I appreciate the work that had to have gone into this. So thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
And God bless. Thank you, everybody. Happy New Year,
Thank
January
you.
1, 2021.
Director Burns?
Well, I'm just excited about this next year and the challenges that we will have as a board and the city staff dealing with COVID and still doing city business. And the challenges that our citizens have that are ahead of them after the holidays, I'm optimistic that the government will figure out, and the state will figure out how to start giving mass inoculations to the public, those that want to receive it. I know the VA is not in our wheelhouse, but the VA has started going down, and my dad got his first dosage at the VA through a drive-through, and I'm looking forward to that kind of concept coming to the city of Siloam Springs. But one of the things I'm most excited about is that as a young fireman, we used to watch the board meetings. Well, I did, not everybody. They weren't into it. And Madam Mayor was a board member, and I would watch him. And Director Allen was a board member. And that motivated me to get on Parks and Recs board. And Director Allen will remember working on the skate park. And we didn't have money then, and the struggle, and we ended up getting a skate park. And I think for me, just not as a city employee, but just as a citizen, seeing those quality of life projects, and even now going by there, and we didn't get everything we wanted. I didn't get that cement pool that we used to see in SoCal, but we got something. And so that's what I'm excited about, is as we struggle with the obstacles that are there for us. We have a good year of setting some plans in place, and just even what we talked about earlier when it comes to residential, there's a lot of work to be done, how we shape that community, and how we grow as Siloam Springs, and we keep that core value ahead of us. Specifically Ward 2, as I look at the downtown, the downtown is kind of our signature of any city, even as we grow. You reference your downtown, and I watched city staff today as I got in, rushing around because I forgot about the photos and my hygiene, but as I was rushing around, the Chautauqua Amphitheater Memorial Park is back to normal, which is good. But boy, that was nice, and there was a lot of foot traffic, and I'm really happy about that, and I'm happy to see what we do with that next year and the years to come. I think that was really important, not to take away with the light up the town, which was also awesome, but it's just nice to see people on the weekends, walking around the community, taking things in, and I think I've seen more of that. So if we've taken anything away from the challenges there, is that people are going back to simpler times. City Lake was, man, it was packed the other weekend. You know, we had nice weather and people were out there. So we got a lot of positive things going on, and I'm excited about that. And we have a lot of challenges, and I'm excited about working with the board and the new members on that. And I just thank you for the opportunity, to the members of Ward 2 for allowing me to sit up here and continue to serve. I would like to also thank AJ. I got a long history with AJ that we won't talk about here, but he may be living in a house I used to live in, and that's a great neighborhood, and I'm excited about him replacing Steve, and now I can become better friends with Steve now that he has less concerns out there. So I know AJ will do a great job for Benton County, so thank you, AJ. That is all.
Thank you. Director Carroll?
Just want to wish everyone a happy new year. It's been real exciting to be a part of the community of Siloam Springs over the Christmas holiday season with the way the lights were put up. Wow, we were a definite beacon. There were so many that I spoke with that just happened to run upon the lights, and they were very impressed with them. And you know, I didn't put up a single one of those lights, but my face beamed like I did, because I really liked what we did as a community, seeing the people out. Director Burns mentioned that. Wow, we have a lot of good things to be proud of and to look forward to, and I'm glad to be part of it. Thank you.
I'd like to say thank you to Nathaniel for the prayer. It's greatly appreciated. Can't have enough prayer. My family and I send our condolences to Gwen Suber for those that have been in the community for a long time. They know Gwen used to work for the city here, and her son Carl worked for the city here, and she retired here. And they have been a blessing to our community for many years, and so I send my condolences to her. And I pray everyone has a safe and prosperous new year.
Abington?
And now for the lighter side. Okay. I just want to go back over 2020 real quickly in my mind. I was sitting today thinking about my blessings, and of course it's my family. We're healthy. I have a new granddaughter. For work, for us, my husband and I are both considered essential workers. I have not experienced being without my job, but I see families every day that are, and my heart goes out to them. And it has made me work harder at the Manna Center to make sure that they're getting fed if I have to take it to their community, if I have to drop it on their doorstep, which we have been doing. Lessons that I take away from this year is that I've learned that there are many, if not most, if not all, the situations that are laid in my lap are out of my control. Enjoy the simple treasures of our surroundings. See the beauty around us that we've created and that God has given us. And always remember that people are important. And I have to tell on myself, I went snow sledding down Simmons Hill. Never in my life have I been down Simmons Hill. Lived here all my life. We always had another little place to go. I didn't go very far, but it was exciting, and there were so many families out there, and the kids were having fun, and we were sharing our sleds with other families who had more kids than they had sleds, and we just had a good old time. That's the Siloam. That's the Siloam I grew up with. My grandkids can grow up with it. It's called community. We care for each other, and we love where we're at. I'm done.
Thank you. Director Smiley?
I want to welcome Judy and David, I should say Madam Mayor and Director Allen, and thank you, Judge Anglin, for the ceremony. I appreciate the opportunity to continue to work for the citizens of Siloam Springs, and I do work for you. You are Siloam Springs, and you are who we are responsible and who we report to. I look forward to a very positive year and working on accomplishing the board goals. And as we go through the pandemic, I look back as well, and I am very thankful that we have created all of the outdoor avenues that we have done. City Lake, our trails, our parks, because it gives people an opportunity to get out of their home and still be distancing. And it's just a wonderful thing that we have created. The city has created. We had help creating. We had grants that created it. At the beginning, I was not extremely favorable about all of our trails. I thought, ooh, we don't need all those trails. We did. And we are seeing that now. And I am very happy that we have that. This is going to be a very positive year. We have a good group here working with the board. I'm glad to work with Judy. I'm glad to work with David. We've all worked together. And it's going to be a great year. And I'm very thankful. Thank you.
Hunt.
Okay. Well, I would echo what Director Smiley said about all the opportunities that Siloam offers now to just spend time outdoors. That's one thing that I've really been able to enjoy as some of the silver lining of a challenging situation with COVID. I've been outdoors a lot and haven't had to leave Siloam a lot to be able to find those trails or bike paths or whatever it is that Siloam offers to give me an activity to do outside. And I've so enjoyed seeing so many other people outside as well. So I've been thankful for that. I need to congratulate the winners of the Deck the House contest. I want to thank Holland again for the work that she did on that and the other city staff members. But it was a fun activity that I think and hope will be an annual activity. Some people really went all out with their decorations, and it was fun to go around and look at those decorations. And then I, too, welcome Director Allen and Mayor Nation. I look forward to serving with you all and continuing to serve with those of us that are returning as board members to work on behalf of the citizens of our great city of Siloam Springs. That's all, and I think I now have the responsibility of saying I move that we adjourn this meeting. Is that correct?
Before we adjourn, I just wanted to say one thing. I thank the city staff for that home decor thing. It was a fantastic idea. Again, it's like, why didn't somebody think of this a long time ago? It really got the whole community out. And the parks this year were so, I mean, maybe they were last year, I don't remember, but they looked great. And so congratulations, thank you park staff or anyone else that was involved in that. And I don't know if anybody saw the lit house that did the music, the light up, it was like Twin Springs and Wright or somewhere. But that took a lot of work and it was amazing. And that's the kind of spirit of community that you say, somebody really, really wanted to show their talent and show their love of the city and the citizens. So thank you, that's all I had to say before we retire.
And I'm sorry, one more thing before we adjourn. I would be remiss if I did not send condolences to the Meeker family.
Mm-hmm.
Walter Meeker was a long-time servant of this city. He worked for many years for Allen Canning Company. I remember them talking about if there was anything that needed to be done, Walter was the one that could do it. He has been a real asset to this community, and he will be missed. And I want to let that family know that we appreciated him, and our prayers are with them. So now, Director Hunt, do you have a motion?
I do. I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We are adjourned.